What's up, everybody? This is WFSO reaction. I'm not gonna say anything bad, because I'm viewing Barrett's Bucks breakdown, but some interesting things that I did not know that he's talking about. So one of the things is that I seems like according to some sources that Brook Lopez and the Bucks will most likely will part ways this offseason after meaningful seasons together. So that's understandable because he's getting old, and what you gonna do with him? And like for the past maybe what 3 seasons, like you have like people like quicker than him, and he's not even that fast as he used to be. So yeah, and you could let him go. So that part I did not know. But there's the other part in here that seems like on this the title screen that do a sign and trade Brook Lopez to the Warrior for Jonathan Kaminga. So it's like why do you want to put up two bad contract a bad contract and sign and trade for another contract that like I get the that Jonathan Kaminga is young and the Warriors is not using him, and I think he's a restricted free agent, I believe. So even the Warriors decide, what, we're just gonna keep on, we're gonna use him more. So maybe it's the part Steve Kerr may learn his lesson on using Jonathan Kaminga. But anyways, I'm just gonna listen to his take. Also, like nothing. Think it's probably nothing bad. So this is the first time I'm watching this, but I just have to share this with everybody because that was one of my things I was saying. Like they need to let him go. So it seems like they probably will. So, and this video was up like maybe like a few hours ago.
So, Brokeback Mountain reports have come out today that the Bucks are most likely, almost definitely, going to be moving on from him this offseason. And I think we all kind of presumed that it would be time to move on from Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah.
You never really know with this front office because I think it was probably fairly clear to people a couple years ago, definitely to me, that Brook Lopez should have been a guy that they were selling on high on 2, 3, honestly, even like right after the championship. But rather than do that, they held on to him and held on to him, and now they're going to be moving on from an off season where.
Okay, so I wouldn't say like should have traded him or let him go after the championship, because I ain't gonna lie, the fast was it like before well after the end of their season this year, then the last 2 seasons he was up for defensive player of the year like 2 years straight. So I can understand why they wanted to hold on to him and all that stuff. But I know like everybody they was frustrated like he's not attacking trying to like really like block shots. He just do like this and try to see if he can block it. And also he's not quick enough, and he's also uh just letting all the defense pass him. So he's not that same Brook that we had. Like although we did know about it like a few years, but like it was just some spots you thinking like, oh okay. And plus the other thing was 2023, Giannis was injured for a few games, so couldn't do much without that. And plus, last year that they did it without Giannis, and Brook did finally stepped up his game in that series, but he didn't step up in the series this past this playoffs. He did not step up at all, so it did not work. And you saw like Doc did with like a new rotation with actually work, but the ending of it. So I'm not going to say any more about that because I wouldn't totally put it on Gary Trent Jr. It was just one mistake, and I mentioned on the other videos that if the Bucks do re-sign Gary Trent Jr., I think this coming season would be his redemption season from that mistake. So that's just my view on that. And so I wouldn't be too hard on Brook Lopez. I was just thinking like this is a time to go. So either get a center in the offseason and keep Jericho Sims, and Either you get him off the draft or get a center in the off season. But you also will gonna need a guard, which we are gonna do another video on it, which probably be up, sometime in the morning about an idea that I have. So it may be crazy, but we'll see. So let's continue on.
Where I'll discuss a couple possible sign and trade opportunities with Brook Lopez. It's possible the Bucks get something back, but likely you're not going to get much back.
Nope, you ain't gonna get nothing.
That
Yeah, you're
just
right.
sign elsewhere, and it's not.
Yeah, you're right. But why just do the scenario anyway? Because they're gonna be like not that great to do a sign and trade. Just like it said on here, let them go. Just worry about the other stuff in the off season, like getting a center that can be quicker. Because you see a lot of centers in like these past few drafts, they getting like more quicker and they can shoot the three, defend, rim protector, and stuff like that. So, but then again, that's probably what's going on in the 2020s. That to tell you the truth, but time change and all that stuff. So it's like because the main thing for the Bucks, don't get too young, but at least get like younger players. But don't get too young, except for wherever you get from the draft and somebody that's that good that can be available. So yeah, it was another video that somebody put about the Bucks try to get like Bradley Beal for like the play side Giannis try to get rid of Damian Lillard. So I don't know how that's gonna work, but I might have did a video on that one. I'm not sure, but yeah, let's just keep going.
It's not going to involve any trade, and you're just going to get rid of him for nothing. And so for Brokeback Mountain, I guess I'll get to his legacy at the end, but I'll get to what. Let me start with the history of him and why we should have probably been traded him. And really, it's because with the Chris Middleton thing, I always say there was never really some huge sell high time because like the deal that they were talking about right after the championship was like Chris Middleton for Bradley Beal, and it's like so there never made sense to be some like oh we're gonna get so much more than what Chris Middleton brings us. That never really manifested. But with the Rockets, with Brook Lopez, they were
Yeah, because it was one point before Brook did resign like with them 2 years ago that the Rockets were interested in signing Brook Lopez and they was really going to pay him, but out of nowhere the Bucks decide give him more money and you see the results of that. So like I said, he had some good games and he had like mostly bad games and plus, the guy cannot even rebound. He's trying to set up for everybody else to try to rebound, and that's not a good fit, and that don't work anymore. Like, part of that game of his doesn't work anymore. So, anyways, but I don't know why Houston would be interested in him now if they want to get him in the offseason. We know the Warriors are, so that's probably going to be one of the things he's going to be talking about, that Warriors-Bucks trade. So, we'll get to that in a sec.
We're going hardcore for him a couple off seasons ago when they ended up signing Van Vliet and Dylan Brooks, and there was a real likelihood that they had a lot of young guys that they were willing to move on from at the time because they were just loaded up with young guys and they were a mess at that point. And they ended up leaving. Kevin Porter Jr. left them, and a couple other guys that they had around at the time. And you could have gotten them to throw a couple assets your way to make a sign and trade happen because they were really going hardcore for Brook Lopez that offseason.
Yeah, they were.
So that offseason, just 2 off seasons ago, when it had already been made clear that Brook Lopez was on his way down, and especially in the postseason, some times when the Bucks are getting knocked out, where against the Celtics, you got Grant Williams dropping 30, 28, whatever the heck it was in Game 7, with him and Bobby not being able to get out to the 3-point line.
It was about 30,
and
yeah.
They should have done a sign and trade when it really could have been possible at a time to move on from him. Now, he's in on.
Oh yeah, it was 28 points that Grant Williams scored. And I think that was the I believe was the games. Let's see, because were the Bucks on the because I know at that point, the Bucks was third seed, I believe, and yeah, they beat Chicago in that first round. No, they was the first. I think they was the first seed or the. I think it was the third seed. Then they ended up being the sixth seed Orlando. Then had a match with Boston where I think the Bucks did have like home court advantage, and no, but the Celtics did have a home court advantage. So it was like the number three versus the what was it number two, and we know the result for that. So Giannis did win hard in those games, and just didn't have a good backup at the time. So Chris Middleton was hurt, and Drew Holiday seems like his offense was starting to decline. So yeah, it's just silly. But moving on.
An unrestricted free agent in a time where some teams are interested, but there's not like some huge contract, I don't think, awaiting him. And so the ways that you could get assets back, it really seems like two teams that are very interested in Brokeback Mountain, and it seems like the Lakers and the Warriors. And for both of them, it would be types of trades where they're just looking to get rid of salary to make room to sign Brook Lopez.
Before we get to his trades, though, um, well, besides the Lakers and the Warriors are interested in him, there's I think Brooklyn was kind of interested in him too this off season. But the crazy thing is like Brook can go back to Brooklyn to where he started with the team when it was once the New Jersey Nets, or he can go back home once again in L.A. and finish his career there with the Lakers. Which that one season he had with the Lakers, like yeah, he went on fire, but it seemed like everyone else. And this was even what this yeah, this was before LeBron James came to L.A. So, and at the time I think he was like the number one guy, and like everybody else just wasn't that much help. And plus Lakers at the time had like a lot of young players. So I don't know, and they did not go to the playoffs that year. So Lakers, like him going to Lakers, I understand, and even the Golden State Warriors, they just need like a big presence. That I can understand, because if you have like Brook Lopez and Draymond Green combination, which is way different than you had the Brook and Giannis compilation, because you seem like Giannis was there for the defense help. So it may be a little bit difficult for them to do it with Draymond Green and Brook, but we've been wrong before, so yeah.
Lopez, I think that would be the kind of trade that you would be able to get with the Brook Lopez situation as an unrestricted free agent. But the good news is, I think both teams may have a salary that they would be willing to get rid of because they don't have as much of a use for, and that actually might be valuable for the Bucks. And so for the Warriors, I see a couple. One is Jonathan Kuminga. They've been talked about as a restricted free agent, that they're more than willing to let him walk. And if they could make something work where it's like, listen, all right, we'll like let him walk over to you, and we'll do a sign and trade. Kuminga, just give us back Brook Lopez. I think that would be awesome if you could turn Brook Lopez somehow into Jonathan Kuminga
No.
after Grand Slam home run. Absolutely, that's great.
I can understand where they're going with this, but like bringing a young guy like Jonathan Kuminga, like I just explained with the Warrior situation with him, and plus he restricted, so they could do a sign and trade with him, but for like who? And plus, he can get like more than what he's getting paid. I think it was like he was getting paid like about I think like the off season they say he's due for like 23 million or something like that. So like how would they convince Brook Lopez, because he so called expected to have more money, get more money this off season. So this is like how that's gonna work. Cause you can't lower their, salary or whatever unless, there's gonna be no teams after you. Cause we seen that in the off season, like when first 2 weeks of the free agency gets hot, then it gets cold. Then you see like piece by piece, like okay, so and so signed with so and so, and then you get like way later on. Then that's when some of the people who thought they was getting a good value from other teams don't get that value. So it's like yeah, I bank on myself and just take a cheap deal and go from there. So I still don't know how that trade situation with Kaminga and Lopez gonna work with the sign and trade. It'll just there make the salary cap for the Bucks more worse. Then they won't be able to re-sign Gary Trent Jr. or if Kevin Porter Jr. decides to opt out, you got to re-sign him. So I just don't know where that scenario would work.
I'm not the biggest Kaminga guy in the world. I feel like he's like the best version of a Kyle Kuzma. But at his age, I think there's still room for development, and there's a room to growing his trade value and then moving him and getting more assets in the future. I think it's all about getting guys at the right time and then being able to make maneuvers after that. Another one is potentially Moses Moody with the Warriors. He thought a favor with them in the postseason. He's a guy that's getting paid like $10 million a year for the next 3 years. I still think they like him out there in Golden State. I don't think they would move on from him for
No, they
Brook
won't.
Mountain for Brook Lopez, but they might, just to make the salary work, say, listen, we got a 2-year window. We need a big man, and Moses Moody's shot's too slow to get off in the playoffs. And then maybe we could get a shooting coach that works on him speeding up that 3-point shot, because defensively he's phenomenal. He can shoot, but it's just his shot takes so long to get off in the playoffs. It's tough for him. So maybe you could get a sign and trade done with the Warriors. And then with the Lakers, when I'm looking at it, it's mostly looking like a Jared Vanderbilt type situation, similar to Moses Moody. He's getting paid like $10 million a year, so that would be lined up contract wise. I'm not that interested in him.
Sorry, I just had to stop for a second. But how you gonna talk to Brook Lopez, to lower the sign and trade and lower his price down to match up with that? So I'm not saying Brook Lopez is like a guy just like no, I want to be paid while I'm older or anything like that. He didn't seem like that type of guy. But with just some things, he's probably thinking me signs 10 million or something like that. He would probably think it's a kind of a ripoff. Although he should get lower than that, but you just know how some players are, and like they need to get paid more than what they worth, or instead of getting paid in what you're actually worth.
He's like a 6'9" guy that can't shoot a lick. If he was like on a minimum contract, sign me up. But paying real money to a guy like that, I think those are the type of contracts that just usually end up hurting you, when it's like you're paying real money for a guy that you could just find somebody out the G League that gives you nothing on offense that plays some defense, Like, I feel like the Bucks have their own version of that Connaughton, where he's like, he was a very solid role player, but it's just like, those are guys.
I had to defend Connaughton a little bit this season, although he wasn't playing much, but the minutes that he had, he did do something with that. So it's like if like the Bucks decide get rid of Pat Connaughton, fine. If they decide to keep him, or he decide to keep his player option, fine. It's not a big deal. But the thing is, the man still got legs, more legs than Lopez. So either way, I'll accept it either way, if they keep him or they let him go. So yeah, not that much concern about Connaughton. So they keep him, great. If not, then fine.
Type of guys that are pretty replaceable, and you shouldn't allocate real money to them. And so I honestly wouldn't want to take on a Vanderbilt trade and a sign and trade with the Lakers. Maybe, just maybe, you could get Dalton Connect back from the Lakers. I've seen people talk about that, but I just don't understand how that works and why that would make sense. Like, he's only getting paid $4 million, so it wouldn't open up that much salary cap for them. And because Brook Lopez...
To everyone that's watching right now, do not use ESPN Trade Machine, because it is not accurate, and I think they still didn't upgrade it since like all the new rules and stuff were placed the last off season. So and I think they still haven't updated. If they updated over the summer, then like why so late? So do not trust the ESPN trade machine. If you want to do like trades and stuff like that, go to Fanspo because it's more accurate, and at least they be more on that than anything. So try Fanspo and not ESPN Trade Machine.
Brook Lopez is unrestricted. I just don't see, like, I don't see why the Lakers would have to send Dalton Connect the Warriors' way to get the deal done. It's not like the Bucks can offer Brook Lopez some huge deal that they can't. Like the Bucks
Right.
aren't like nobody's giving Brook Lopez like 30 something million
No,
to
they're
where you
not.
maybe have to throw assets in to say don't keep him on your team, send him our way. Like
Yeah, he's right. It's like I was saying, he's not worth that much of money, but he probably will ask for it. Then maybe work on himself in the off season. Then probably end up being a better player. Like lose some weight. Like okay, last year they was talking about he lose some weight, and I was like, okay, cool. He only lost 10, 15 pounds. For him to try to get his legs back up and try to be quick, that's not enough. That is not enough.
like there's just not that much value with Brook Lopez to me for me to think that there's going to be a sign
Exactly.
and trade. I'm sure you could always get maybe Kleber or Gabe Vincent from the Lakers, but again, similar to Vanderbilt, it's like they're just kind of wasted salaries. They're guys that, they have their moments. Kleber is versatile and that's cool. Gabe Vincent has his playoff moments. They're great guys to have on like minimum deals, or they're fine to have on minimum deals, but they're not guys that you want to have on $11 million contracts. So for the Lakers,
Exactly.
if somehow you could get Dalton Connect from them, that would be great. But realistically, for the Bucks, I think it's just
I seriously doubt it. If there's some way the Bucks can get Dalton Connect, so there's no way that's gonna happen. No way. I know the Lakers was bold enough to try to trade him last year for with Charlotte, but that trade didn't go through because the center I think was it Mark Williams or I forgot that center name that they got that he fell his they do like a test to see if like they still like physical and good enough and stuff like that. I forgot what they called it, but he that center from Charlotte failed it, and the trade had to be reversed, so it was no trade happening. So yeah, just weird.
probably going to be sayonara to Brokeback Mountain, and I don't think you're getting anything back for him. The way it looks, I'm guessing he's going to be a Warrior, and I'm guessing the Warriors aren't going to get anything back in return. But maybe I'm insane, and maybe we can get something nice. If we could get Kaminga back, I think that would be the most ideal scenario. But let me know.
That's not gonna happen. There's not gonna be like a sign and trade because you just like you're gonna make the Bucks problem like even worse, especially like how much you want to sign them, and you got to focus on getting some of your free agents back. So I get what he's saying, but I'm just not on. And I know he's not. He's realistic in saying it's not going to happen. But I guess just putting the idea like that is just like why. I don't know, but we'll see. Thank you guys for watching once again. Comment below if you think he's crazy or you like my opinion or you think he's right or wherever the case may be. So just please comment below and we'll talk about it. Also, we don't just talk about Bucks. We talk about wrestling, developments in the city, and also comic book movies and TV news. So if you like that, please subscribe to this channel because we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So hopefully, we can do some like giveaways and stuff like that. So, please, support the channel and share the channel too. Let people know what we're doing. Over 2,700 videos and counting, and been one of the longest ranking YouTube channels there is. And also, get the chance to check out the website, wrestlingfanspeakout.weebly.com. I think I did updated it earlier today, so, you can check it out. So there's, videos like this, like separate videos of like some categories, like wrestling talk, where we interview some independent wrestlers, and we're gonna try to get back to that. But I'm gonna like hold off till July. But I'm gonna start next month, just putting it out there and like see if there's like independent wrestlers interested in being on there. So I'm gonna start that show July, but I just gotta figure out when I can actually do the the live show, then show the pre-recorded show and stuff like that. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Also, you got events that we was at, like Bucks events and also wrestling events. So photos there, check them out. The merchandise store is being worked on, so we're trying to see what we can do. So that will be up very soon. And don't forget, this month is mental health awareness. Although the month is winding down, but still check on your people, check on your friends. You might save their life, and they don't even know it until you do. Thank to Mike and Ram Thompson and Midwest Wrestling Collectibles for the sponsorship. You can check out Midwest Wrestling Collectibles on Facebook for like wherever wrestling like DVDs, VHS, and figures that they have. So get a chance, check them out. And that's pretty much it. So once again, thank you guys for watching. Face up, man up, or face up, woman up. So if you're watching, but until the next video, y'all have a good one.